see a lot of familiar faces. What's up, what's up? So I got 20 minutes, and I just really wanted to figure out what I do. Normally I come out with like a funny joke or something, and my material's running a little dry. Kevin Hart took a lot of my stuff in this transition, but I came up with a pretty clever one. Kind of laid me in there. It's just a basic knock-knock joke, so I'm going to share it with you. I thought it was great. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Opportunity.
Opportunity who?
God, y'all don't even know what opportunity is. Look at that. Some people caught on, they were like, oh, I'm not going to answer it. God, it's so good being out here. Well, first time in West Palm Beach. So yeah, it's been beautiful. I've been hanging out with Frank today, and I'm telling you, Frank, Steve, and everybody else, it's just been such an amazing experience being here. And you guys are actually in one of the greatest positions that you can be in your life right now. See, one of the greatest things that I've learned in my life is that the trophies are in the transition. Come on. Y'all follow me on that one? The trophies are in the transition. And right now, what's happening is that you guys are in a transition period in this business. This is what's so great about a transition. Because there's some of you that I feel right now and where you're at, you're like, God, you know, you're having a hard time leaving Monavie. You're having a hard time transitioning out of Mynt into this new situation where you're at. And some of you, it's because you feel like you haven't gotten the success that you think you should have gotten. Sometimes we hold on to something, we say, look, I gotta be a success at this, and before I can move on, I've gotta master this. And so what happens is we hold on to things that are already in the old. Does that make sense? So what happens is what I found out is what's so pivotal where you're at right now in this transition is that oftentimes when we get into routines, we don't grow. And some of us, when we're dealing with Monavie, and some of us deal with these amazing products of Mynt, you build this routine of how you normally do life. But just like working out, you don't get the growth from staying the same. And the amazing thing about transition is that transition moves you from a place of being comfortable to a place of growth, and it's that growth that promotes you to the next level. So in this transition, what it does is it has you in a place where you have to let go of everything you know. See, sometimes you have to let go of everything that you've ever known in your life to get something that you desire to have in a new realm. And if we never let go of the old, what happens is life comes in seasons, right? It would be foolish for me right now, at this moment, to be dressing in a first down jacket with some boots and a beanie on with scarves and gloves, because it's not the right season. And so in this transition, what's happening is what once worked for you in your life is not working anymore. So rather than stay in a place of despair, it's time to transition. So in this time and in this moment, what I started doing is I started studying a little bit about the Titanic. And we've all seen this movie of the Titanic, right? Everybody knows it was this big old sturdy thing, and they hit this iceberg, and the iceberg broke off, and you know, y'all saw the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, right? But here's what's so amazing about this story, is that in the story of the Titanic, it wasn't that a lot of people didn't get away. A lot of people got off of the boat and got into the safety boats. The problem remained is that they were still too close to the ship that was sinking, and the vortex pulled them down. In this transition, there will be people who think that their ship is sinking. Come on, God. In this situation where you're at, there are people who are going to look at this. I can't tell you how many calls I got from people when they started finding out about this switch, who literally you got to talk them off of the cliff. You gonna be all right, bro. Don't worry about it. Everybody's like, you know, they got tattoos now that said, you know, Monavie, and they got all this stuff. And they're like, Jesus, what am I gonna do, right?
I didn't think of that.
A lot of people bought into this whole idea, but what they failed to realize is that this industry is a vehicle. And there is no vehicle in your life that will last forever. And so the amazing thing about being successful with every pastor, with every businessman, is that you have to be able to transition as the time calls for it. But some of us stay in a place where we're going to push that Pinto until Jesus comes back. So you can put new rims on it, but it's still a Pinto, bro. Like you're still in that place trying to get you into an uncomfortable situation. And in that uncomfortable situation is where the stretch begins to happen. But if you're like the people in the Titanic and in that ship, if you're hanging out with people who think that it's going down, it's going to suck you down, even though you're in a safe place where you can get to live your life, you'll be drowned down. So if that's true for people who are going down, what would happen if you connected yourself to people who were going up? Come on, catch this. What would happen if you begin to connect yourself with people who are going up? If somebody who's going down and somebody's talking about how jacked up this is, and I lost this, and the industry's changing like this, and the industry's changing like that, if they're so focused on what's going down, what happens when you get to connect yourself to leaders like Frank Sochanek and like Steve Mynt who are beginning to go up? See, let me get a little bit personal on this. I was in a season of transition in my life. But I could not see the opportunity because the pain was so great. Sometimes pain in your life gets you to forget all logical reasoning. Sometimes there are painful things that we go through, and the pain hits so hard that you can't even think straight. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? So oftentimes in our lives, we're in situations and places and seasons where somebody turned their back on us. Your marriage probably going through it. Financially, you're going through it. And every great person that I've ever seen in ministry and in business has been in a season of pain, but they never forgot the purpose for the pain. Did y'all catch that? I was in a season of my life of transition that I could not navigate through. And my pain was screaming louder than the purpose until I was in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I met a man by the name of Frank Sochanek. And Frank Sochanek was an individual, and if y'all know Frank, you know he's a special man. He got them eyes that are just like piercing as he's staring at you, and you're like, Jesus, right? So I was at a restaurant sitting down in the season of transition, and Frank was looking at me from down at the table. Now, I'm a brother from Cali. That was my first time to the South, and I got this brother who's he's a little bit darker than me, but he's staring at me at the end of the table, just looking at me. And I'm looking around like, God, what is this dude looking at me for? And he came up to me afterwards and he said some words to me. And what he said to me was this. He says, hey, do you know that heaven's talking about you behind your back? He says, you got some big stuff in your future. That's all he said to me. And walked away. I didn't know who this dude was. I didn't know why you talking to me. None of that. But here's why I'm saying that. Is that because I was in a position to let go of everything that I ever knew, I wasn't so held on to what got me to where I was at that I was willing to let go and abandon everything to possibly hear out this guy and what he had to say. And we make this mistake in life time and time and time again, where we hold on to these methods of what we think we need to have. And we never let go to grab the next rung. So you can't climb the ladder of success if you're holding on to the first rung. That was good. High five, Jeff. All right, you can't go to another level unless you let go of the latter rung. And sometimes we're so stuck on holding on to that first one, and you start giving yourself hoorays and good job for holding on to that first one. That's great, but the goal is to go up. And sometimes I feel that when we celebrate in a place where we just hopped in too long, celebration leads to complacency. So you have to know when to transition from celebration to work time. And there's a balance between the two, but I was in this transition phase where I couldn't understand where I was. And because I let go of everything I knew, I grabbed a hold of somebody who was going up.
Come on, time to go.
I grabbed a hold of somebody who was in a higher level than I was currently at. See, it takes a level of humility to understand and actually admit, as much as you want to work just in that three-piece suit, that you don't have it all together. As much as you want to get your hair done, nails done, everything did, right, ladies? Y'all want to look fly, but the truth of the matter is it's a terrible thing to look fly on the outside but be dying inside. And so when we talk about this transition and we talk about growth, one of the greatest things in transition is actually being in a place where you're transparent in transition. You have to come to a place where you're transparent in your transition. See, because what happens is if you're not in a place of transparency and saying, this is where I'm at, then you can't properly aggregate into the transition. You can't properly be integrated into the transition because you're still trying to cover stuff up. This is a season where whatever you've known from the previous, now you're vulnerable because you really don't know too much about this. But that is the greatest place to be. You know, being a pastor, I love when I get people who come into church who have no religious background or affiliation whatsoever. I absolutely love it. Why? Because they have no guards or borders or barriers as to what God can do in their life, or they have no borders or barriers as to where they can go. So they come in with a new mindset, willing to embrace everything, and they experience the greatest growth in their spiritual lives. When you're coming into a transition season, that means you're transitioning into something that's unknown. And it's in the unknown that secrets are found. It's in the unknown situations, the unknown cities, the unknown people that you can unearth some of the greatest gifts and nuggets of wisdom that you could ever find. This new transition is about to prepare you to go to a whole nother level.
Come on.
One of the greatest marks of leaders is to be able to say, I don't know. I talked to Frank. Frank told me he had a hat on. I gotta say this. He said, I had a hat on that said 19. So somebody asked, oh, what's that 19 for? And, he's like, I don't know. Someone's like, oh, it's because there's 19 fruits and berries inside of mine. He goes, man, I thought there was 18. He said he made millions of dollars and didn't even know how many fruits were in the juice. See, he was not afraid to say, I don't know. But he wasn't afraid to let go of what he thought he knew. And because of that, he's become massively successful. The same thing with Steve. You have to get to a place in your life where you're willing to have reckless abandonment into where you feel you're supposed to go next. This transition will turn into a tragedy if you're not all the way in. Did you hear what I just said? This transition will turn into a tragedy if you're not all the way in. And people they crack me up and they just blow me away when they say, hey, I'm going to try this network marketing thing. So when you try it, let me know your quit date. Because if you're just going to try anything in life, you're not going to get any results. Come on, it's the same with your walk with God. It's the same thing with your marriage. It's the same thing with parenting your children. There's no such thing as try in life, and we know that. But if you're not all the way bought into where you're supposed to be, if you're not all the way bought into this next transition, then I promise you, and I guarantee you, just mark your quit date because you're going out. And I'm coming in this way because as leaders, there's a difference. I feel like we live in an age where there's a difference between needs and wants. And what I found out is that we need our wants and we want our needs. I'll say it again. There's a difference between a need and a want. A want is something that you say, man, that would be really great to have that, and that's what I desire to have. A need is something like air. I need air. A want is, man, I want an air conditioning room so I can breathe cold air. Need and a want. Y'all get it? We're in a season now where people need their wants and they want their needs. You have to get to a place where you need your needs. And I'm in a place to tell you tonight that I'm trying to give you something that you need to get you to the next level of where you're supposed to go in your life. And so oftentimes, times when we come to this place of needing stuff, the needy part doesn't come across as fluffy and sweet. And y'all know me, I love to joke. Y'all see me, a lot of you guys see me at all the other ones. But this is a critical moment for you guys. This is a break or make moment for you right now. Some of you are on the precipice of either utter success or utter failure, and the choice remains on how you choose to transition. So for some of you who may have been in this industry for years, and you said, man, I haven't been successful. I haven't been able to move forward, and I haven't been able to hit this mark and hit this mark. Guess what? Great. Because you got a whole new opportunity right now to crush it. If you're in a place where everything that you've known before didn't work, great. You're in a new place to learn new methods to crush it. See, yes. Yes. See, the amazing thing about what I loved about when I became a Christian is that I love how God evokes newness. Everything he does is about being new creations, right now in the moment. I love that. And one of the greatest things that I see all throughout the story is one of my favorite stories is a story of Abraham. Abraham had money. The man was laced. And out of nowhere, he hears from God, and God says, get up, leave your family, leave everything you know, leave everything, and I'm going to take you to a new place. Notice that he didn't tell him where. He couldn't type into Google. He didn't have to talk to Siri. He didn't have nobody to look him up. But he had to just get up and go. Some of you are in a place where you're waiting for the Siris and the Googles in your life to give you permission to go into this next transition, when all you have to do is just get up and go. Get up and go. Well, what about this? And I don't know too much, but get up and go. Well, you know, it's kind of a little fuzzy taste on the end. Like, get up and go. Well, you know, I don't know so much about this compensation. Well, how good is your compensation plan right now? Get up.
No.
Get up.
And go.
Get up.
And go.
See, life is about transitions in your ability when things throw you curveballs and you get knocked down to get up and go to the next place. Life is about when they lock the doors, don't try to break down the window, turn around and look for another way to go.
That's right.
Oftentimes we try to beat down windows and beat down doors and, oh my God, I'm going to make it and break it. And so you spend your whole life trying to pull at doors, trying to pull at relationships, trying to pull at different opportunities when it's been locked. And many leaders have died at a locked door that they were holding on to, when there was an open door just right over here. Many leaders are missing out on their opportunity to move into a different realm that they've never moved in before, because you're determined to make the old ways work when there's a new thing that's coming. Everybody say there's a new thing. There's a new thing in your life that's happening right now. Life is about shifts. Life is about transitions. And if you're not comfortable with shifts or transitions, then don't try to be here for success. Life is full of disruption. If you're married to a dreamer, expect disruption. If you want safety, don't marry a dreamer. So y'all catch that? I feel like there's a lot of young people. I'm just throwing that's free right there. If you're looking for somebody to be comfortable and complacent, don't go for a dreamer, because a dreamer will pull you out of your comfort zone, because nothing good grows there.
Right. That's good.
Nothing good grows there. You can't sow seeds of comfort and expect massive growth.
Right.
Did you catch that? So if you're in the gym, if what 10 pounds was working for you, now you're in a place where you're getting used to the 10 pounds, and now you've got to go up to 20 if you want to see growth. But if I stay in a place where all I'm willing to lift is only 10 pounds because it feels comfortable, I look good. Well, you don't look good good, fellas, if you only benching 10 pounds. I mean, you know that. Unless you're doing negatives and you came up from 315, then you look all right.
Hey.
But there comes a place in your life where what you've been used to pushing will not grow you anymore. And this is true for your spiritual walk. This is true in your relationships. This is true in your parenting. We are always in seasons of growth. That's why I love how the Bible says we go from glory to glory to glory, which means you get better and better and better. Yeah. But what I found, and this is what you will hear, well, I've done network marketing now for about 10 years, and I've not seen any growth in it, so I'm convinced that it doesn't work. No. You've done network marketing for 1 year, and you just repeated it 10 times.
Ooh.
That's good.
Did you catch that? No. You haven't been in network marketing for 10 years. You've actually only been in for 1 year, and you haven't grown past what you've learned in that 1 year. You haven't transitioned into a new place, and you're walking in this whole industry. So what you've actually done is just repeated your first year 10 times.
Come on.
And you'll see this in marriages too. Well, I've been married for 30 years. No, you've been married for 1 year, and you repeated it 29 different times. I just had to go there. I'm sorry. That's just but I'm still working. See, I'm not here so much as to speak about Jeunesse and amazing opportunity. That's why you have your leaders here. What I'm focused on is getting your mindset in the place to approach and be able to accept this next transition.
Woo!
See, that's the amazing thing, because just as I'm speaking to you, God has me in a season of transition. As I stand on this stage multiple times, Steve will tell you, my brother Frank is like an all-in-one for me. He's like a father, he's like a brother, he's everything in that area. And God's really blessed me in that. But what I've learned in this moment of transition is that it's almost like that butterfly who's in that uncomfortable place that I talked about a few times ago at the Mynt conference out there in Orlando. Mm-hmm. You know, that butterfly is in a place where he's stuck in a place of transition. Something is telling him it doesn't cut it anymore for me to stay like a caterpillar. Something isn't cutting it for me to keep crawling on my stomach. See, I get the fact that these leaves are serving their purpose, but there's something inside of me. There's an instinct that I have to go to another level. And so what happens is this caterpillar is in an awkward place.
Come on.
Where inside his instincts are telling him that I've got to build this cocoon, and on the outside it looks like stupidity. And oftentimes when there's transition, people who are not where you're at yet in life look at you and say that you're stupid. But they don't know that there's a moment in their life that they're going to be forced to transition. And so he's inside of this cocoon, and he's sitting there, and there's something around him he doesn't know what it is. Could you imagine what he's thinking? Wrapped up in that cocoon in a tight place. And some of you are in a tight place financially. Some of you are in a tight place relationally. Some of you are in a tight place financially. And every other area of your life, you're in a tight place, and it's uncomfortable. But it's in that place that he begins to morph. And the butterfly begins to change. And things that were inside of him the entire time begin to come out. See, the beautiful thing about a butterfly is that what happens is when it's in there, what was already inward is beginning to show outward.
Right.
You look at people who are successful. There is a saying that says you can't pull something out of somebody that's not already in them. Did you catch that? You can't pull something out of somebody that's not already in them. That means that if a lover comes out of you, it's because it was in you. If a leader comes out of you, it's because it's in you. See, some of you have this instinct to become a leader, but you allow your outward circumstance to determine how much you lead.
Wow. Come on, that's good.
Some of you have a desire to go to another level, but you look outwardly instead of looking inwardly at what your instincts are telling you to do. God gives you instincts to get you to that next level. And so this butterfly is in this place where all of a sudden, after all of this time, he says, I think it's time. Everybody say it's time.
It's time.
Everybody say it's time.
It's time.
Everybody say it's time.
It's time.
It's time for this transition to begin to happen. Did y'all feel that when y'all said it's time? Yeah, I felt a little shift in the air with that one. There was something that began to happen, and this butterfly knew that it was time. And as he begins to push through the cocoon, what we don't realize is that it's the cocoon that strengthens the wings so it can fly. If the cocoon is cut too early, the butterfly is unable to develop the strength needed for it to fly. And so outwardly it may have the appearance of a butterfly, but it can't deliver. Follow me on this. Time does two things. It will expose or it will promote. Time does two things. It will expose or it will promote. If you're in this business for the wrong reason, time
Come on, Jeff.
will expose. But if you're in this business for the right reason, Steve, for the right people, then time will promote. What I love about time is that time will actually weed out the imposters. God, I believe that was good enough for you. A plane ticket right there. Jesus, that was good. Time weeds out the imposters. If you're a leader and you see somebody in your team that has never done anything and they're no longer willing to go in the transition, see, this time weeds out the imposters who are only on the outward looking like a butterfly, looking like they wanted to fly in life, but this time exposed them for who they really are. Don't waste your time chasing after people who've already made a decision not to move on.
Come on, that's good.
Don't waste your time spending it on people who want to cut the cocoon early because they don't like being uncomfortable. As leaders here, this transition will be uncomfortable. But know in the midst of uncomfort and discomfort, in this uncomfortable place, there will be a season where you will be comforted. And the place of discomfort, if you're willing to put it in right now, if you're willing to let go of everything, if you're willing to let go of every ideology that you've ever been grown up with, every ideology that you've ever known, anything that you've ever seen in any network marketing business, if you're willing to let go and be uncomfortable, your success will comfort you. See, this is what life is about. It's about being willing to allow change to change you. So oftentimes, the season of holding isn't because you were never a leader. It wasn't because you didn't have what it takes. It may just be that you just weren't ready yet. But everybody say, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Everybody say, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Say, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
This is a new season and a new opportunity for you to go into another realm, into another dimension with something new that you've never had before. This is an opportunity for all you young bucks to come out of everything that you've ever known, everything that they say about your age. I love this age right now, and I love this time because age doesn't matter. What's crazy is that the young bucks are giving these older guys a run for their money. Older guys like, shoot, I got to transition out of 1950. This ain't working for me. How do I do that? That twiddle, the twiddle. What is that thing? I gotta get on that instant greasy. I got. What is that thing called? Right? You're in a place now. If you've been in the industry, this is why it's great. Because if you've been in this industry, you're more mature in this industry. What you can do is understand that shifts and change happen. And as long as you're breathing, you have the ability to adapt to a new season.
Yes.
But how you adapt depends on who you surround yourself with. In this transition and in this time, the level of where you go will be determined by who you're holding on to. And if you plug into this system with these leaders and understand that it's about people, and you understand that, you know what, I am not going down, and you begin to get away as much as you can from these people who have made a decision to already sink their ship, you get to connect to people who are going up. Life and success is all about relationships. The greatest advice that my brother, my mentor, my friend, a father figure ever taught me: you rise and you fall in your relationships. This weekend as leaders, you get to build some of the biggest relationships that you've ever built in your life. The trophy is in the transition. Who's ready?
Woo!
Who's ready?
Woo!
Thank you so much.
Jeff Osborne.